in which a woman is seen beating a small baby. We like to tell you that the child that the woman is beating is her own kid. And the Delhi
In the graph, it shows that younger children are more vulnerable to maltreatment. Victimization rates were highest for children younger than the age of 1. Children who experience child abuse usually don't tell anybody what's happening to them for many different reasons. The main ones being that they're in fear that their family will break apart, or they're scared that if they let somebody know, the abuse will not only continue, but it'll also get worse. 14% of all men in prison and 36% of all women in prison in the U.S. were abused as a child. Children who experience child abuse are 9 times more likely to become involved in criminal activities. About 30% of all abused and neglected children will later abuse their own children, continuing the horrible cycle. Physical discipline can lead to many unwanted outcomes for our child. Hitting or spanking teaches children to use violence to solve problems. Physical punishment does not improve behavior for long term. It actually leads to more disobedience and aggression in the child's behavior. You guys may already know about the famous Vikings player Adrian Peterson for his amazing skills on the field, but did you also know that he was on trial for child abuse in 2014? Peterson was arrested for beating his 4-year-old son with a tree branch, leaving laceration, open wounds, bruises, and cuts all over the kid's body. How long have you been working to prevent child abuse?
Corner House has been around since 1989.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
It is. I have been working here at Corner House for over 7 years now, and we see over 500 kids a year, all of whom have been referred to us because there's a concern that perhaps they have been abused or maltreated in some way.
What makes you passionate about the topic of child abuse?
Well, there are sure a lot of things about this field that are very compelling. You know, I have a background as a teacher and social worker, working with kids in a lot of different settings. And it seemed like wherever I worked, I kept encountering children who had experiences of abuse. And it just always struck me as so fundamentally unfair, you know? Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything to deserve being treated like that. And so I guess my sense of fair play kind of came into the picture, and I just have always wanted to be able to be on the side of justice, you know, trying to help make sure that people who do these things can, first of all, be held accountable for what they're doing to kids, and then second of all, so they can get help, and so families can heal, and children can, you know, have the benefit of loving families and caregivers the way that they really deserve.
A lot of parents who are caught abusing their children blame it on discipline. So I guess my question to you is, when do you think the line is crossed over from discipline and over to child abuse?
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent question, and it's not an easy one to answer. There are different standards of discipline in different communities and different cultural norms around physical discipline, and it is not helpful to say every family should do discipline the same way. I think it's good to acknowledge that there are differences and kind of start there. That said, there is quite a large body of research that indicates that physical discipline is not effective. You know, I do think there are some parents who really think that they are helping their children when they use physical discipline. You know, they're doing it out of a place, you know, a misguided sense of love and care. It's maybe what they experienced as children, and so they think that it's appropriate. But the research is slowly changing people's minds about that, I hope. There really is no benefit to be gained from physical discipline. The other thing I want to say about that is that You asked me about the line between physical discipline and abuse. And our statute in Minnesota attempts to help child protection workers and other people identify that line when they are investigating allegations and trying to determine, if abuse occurred or not. That line between what is physical abuse and what is discipline is not an easy one to identify. But any time that there is an injury on a child, to me, that is a concern. Whether it's a bruise or a cut or laceration or, red mark from a hand, that is always a serious concern.
What's the first thing a child should do if they are being abused?
Well, the first thing is to take a deep breath and realize that it's not their fault. That whatever is happening to them is the fault of the person who's doing it to them. The next thing would be to find someone in their life that they trust enough to tell. Child abuse, counts as an emergency. So it's okay to call 911 if a child doesn't have anybody else to tell.
Every day in this country, 5 children die as a result of child abuse. More than 80% of these kids are not even old enough for kindergarten. This is unacceptable. To end child abuse, first we must raise awareness to the problem. As easy as it sounds, a simple #EndChildAbuse on your social media accounts such as Facebook and Twitter can really make a difference. If we all come together as a community, we can work together to put an end to child abuse for good.